Recently, Verizon had to use tiny red balls to try to make you think they had a much better network than Sprint. But there's one big thing they left out. The new Sprint LTE Plus network delivers faster download speeds than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. While Verizon seems to be focused on tiny balls, Sprint has been obsessively focused on building the network of the future. And to celebrate, Sprint is cutting their rates in half. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. You get the new Sprint LTE Plus network with faster download speeds than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And we'll even cover your cost to switch, up to $650 per line. Only from Sprint. Better for less.
Claim based on Sprint's analysis of average LTE download speeds using Nielsen NMP data. Speeds may vary. Offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on, and premium content. Subject to new line port activation fee and credit. See website for eligible plans. Savings through 1/8/18 after pay full amount. Restrictions apply. Buy every reward card after online registration and phone turn-in.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Empower Half Hour. Our topic today is being proactive with early detection, and my name is Stacy Gertz. I'm your host this morning. I am a certified school teacher and a CASE-FT, and I share the idea with PREinvention with Time to Play Foundation. Joining me this morning is Melissa Stockman. She is the Time to Play Medical Director. Melissa is a board-certified nurse practitioner for both adults and children. She's a registered nurse for 23 years, and she's also an American Heart, CPR, and AED instructor, and a Trump's International Who's Who Award recipient. Melissa emphasizes proactive and pre-inventive measures with early detection and looks for the root causes of health issues to improve her clients' quality of life. And that's the whole idea. But, behind the Time to Play Foundation is improving the quality of as many people's lives as we can on a daily basis. So Empower Half Hour is made possible by the Time to Play Foundation, Incorporated, a not-for-profit 501c3 corporation with the mission and purpose to enrich the lives of others through our programs, public awareness, outreach activities, events, and learning opportunities that further the concept of enjoying life. And you can see more about us by logging on to the enjoylifeproject.org or timetoplayfoundation.com. And sponsoring us this morning are two of our local donors that also focus on improving the quality of health in the community. Our first sponsor this morning is Bikram Yoga in East Setauket, located on 25A and Nichols Road, and the Fairview Pharmacy in Port Jefferson Station. So thank you. Hi, Melissa. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to let you take the lead with this topic. I know that it's a topic that you're very passionate about, and you can just roll with it. Tell us, if you can, why you think it's so important to be proactive with early intervention. And
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
There's so much I could say about this. I'll try to limit it as much as I can. But first of all, the statistics. The American Cancer Society, women, their lifetime risk of, say, breast cancer is 1 in 7 to 1 in 8, depending on which study. I find it seems a lot higher on Long Island. And males' risk is 1 in 7 in the lifetime of developing prostate cancer. However, the longer we live, the more likely we'll develop a cancer. And a woman's lifetime risk of developing any kind of cancer is 1 in 3. And a men's lifetime risk is 1 in 2. So if there's 2 men in a room, statistically speaking, one of them will develop cancer. So that's why I'm so proactive on this. If we can prevent it or reduce our risk, let's do that rather than, I'd rather do that than waiting for a patient's annual mammography. Or instead of sending them for that chest x-ray, I would rather to tell them quit smoking than, hey, let's do a chest x-ray next year and see if you have lung cancer. So, there's risk factors that we can and cannot change. Genetics we can't change, but the other ones we can are environmental exposure to these known carcinogens, these radiations and different things. They cause these free radical damage, this oxidative stress that has been linked to causing cancers. So some of those things we could decrease our exposure to. and I'll go into some of the known carcinogens in a little bit. But I think it's important for people to know exactly what cancer is. We've heard of it. We're not sure exactly how to define it. Basically, it's a disease that rapidly and uncontrollably the cells multiply and they destroy our body tissue, and then they take over and they spread to other organs. And we try to reduce these, there's things called carcinogens, and those are things that are known to cause cancer. And we can try to limit that damage. I won't go into a long story about it, the how-tos, because we're limited for time. But basically, these free radicals, they cause damage to the atoms. They steal electrons. They cause damage to other cells, and it just keeps replicating and spreading like a chain reaction. So we have to stop it. And things that cause free radical damage that we should try to avoid because they're linked to causing cancers are pollutions, radiations. If you go to your doctor and you sprain your wrist, don't ask for an x-ray. It's only going to show a fracture. Smoking, even secondhand smoke. The sun is a known carcinogen. Try to wear sunblocks if you can, or a hat. Pesticides and insecticides. A lot of us will call our local, insecticide control to spray our yard. But yet, those are known carcinogens. And when you spray your yard, you can ask for a greener, clean alternative where they will use more herbal ingredients. Your yard might smell like garlic, but it's not a known carcinogen. What else? Another reason, the National Cancer Institute says, hey, this free radical damage damages the cells and plays a key role in cancer. So it's important. There's the Institute for Research of Cancer, and they actually classify known carcinogens into different categories. Category 1, group 1 is, hey, these are known carcinogenic to humans. Category 2 is like probably known causing cancer to humans, and 4 is, hey, definitely not. So, I can go through some of the known carcinogens to humans that we can try to avoid. They include asbestos. A lot of our husbands might want to take the shingles down on our house and, put up a better outside. But those old shingles are asbestos, and they need to be professionally taken down by men that wear respirators, and, they hose down the shingles to prevent the powder from getting into the air. Diesel fuel. A lot of men like those big, heavy trucks. The diesel fuel, the inhalation of that is a known carcinogen. So is even secondhand tobacco smoke. There's also viruses that are known carcinogens. Epstein-Barr virus. Most of us have had exposure to that in the past. Hepatitis B and hepatitis C, if left untreated, can cause cirrhosis of the liver and liver cancer. HIV. H. pylori is bacteria in the stomach that create a cancer. And even the HPV virus that can cause cervical cancer. And women forget, they go to their doctor or their nurse practitioner, and they might ask for hormone replacements. Well, a lot of them have an estrogen base in it that's known to help breast cancers that are already there grow and multiply even quicker. So, another one, women, they go for their Brazilian blowouts. A lot of them have formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen. So, I get one called, Brazilian Zero. It has no formaldehyde. And some of the people, some of the products, they say formaldehyde-free, but they don't realize that the molecules create formaldehyde when they're heated. So I have one, I use one that's totally free of formaldehyde or its derivatives. Mineral oil, back in the day, we used to put that in food if someone was constipated to help lubricate things. Talcum powder that you would put on your baby. Nickel, that's in a lot of the women's jewelry. Now you can try to get nickel-free jewelry. It's in a lot of even the old silver jewelry and the sun. So those are just some of the known carcinogens. Yeah. And the list goes on and on. There was more in just group 1 of known carcinogens, much less the group 2 that's probably carcinogenic.
So education with carcinogens definitely helps us to become proactive. And I failed to mention the call-in number. If anyone would like to join us, ask any questions, or just listen, you're always welcome to call in. Our number is 646-200-0848. We'd love to hear your opinions, suggestions, or questions. And I did a little research this morning, nothing major, but I know that with early detection, it also starts with us knowing our bodies and understanding signs and symptoms to look out for. So I read and I was surprised, not to be anxious. If we find a lump, that really 80% of the lumps that are found are not cancerous. But there are symptoms. So,
it's important
I don't know, I have
to get checked out. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I accumulated a list of some symptoms that if they don't go away in 2-3 weeks, that it is suggested to call a doctor. So I was going to share that, and if you want to bounce off of it, of course. But swelling, soreness, or rash, warmth, redness, or any darkening on the breast, change in size or shape, the dimpling or puckering of the skin, itchy and scaling or sore rash on the nipples, maybe the nipples becoming flat or inverted, or even some discharge from the nipples, or a new pain in one spot that just, doesn't go away, and then, of course, persistent itching.
Yeah,
so
those are true. I mean, a lot of the women with the itching, it might be a fungal infection, but those are important symptoms too. And, there's so much to talk about. But with women, it's important they should be doing self-breast exams every single month. They could pick the first of every month to remind themselves, or, after their cycle ends. A lot of women, and it's important to check under the armpits, too, to see if those lymph nodes are enlarged. A lot of women might have fibrocystic breasts where they get tender with their cycle every month. In that case, they should do it like a week after the cycle. They should look in the mirror, see if there's any changes or any of that dimpling inward. And, I go through this with my patients as well. When they're lying down, they should take 3 fingers. And the easiest way is to go around in little circles, starting in the nipple and going circles outward, 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 and feeling so you get under the armpit and make sure there's no lumps there, making sure there's no discharge from the nipple. It's important. Women, should get their mammo every single year. They can schedule it around their birthday maybe to help them remind them. If they're cystic, if they've been told on a mammo that they have cystic breasts or by a practitioner, they should also consider getting a sonogram or even an MRI. The cancer societies, they weigh risk versus benefit, and they say, well, if there's 1,000 people tested and only one develops cancer, maybe not recommend that test. So I'm a lot more proactive recommending tests than actually the Cancer Society recommends. Also, they can go, so the Cancer Society recommends women 20 years of age and older. It's an optional self-breast exam. That's every month. I recommend it for every woman, even starting at 18. I recommend a mammo for every woman over 40. If they also have breasts, I recommend a sonogram as well as both sides, and possibly an MRI if their insurance will cover it, depending. Then, if there's anything abnormal.
I found that can help remind us on the Bright Pink website. There's actually, you can text the word pink to 59227, and you will get one text a month to remind you for the self-exam, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Very, very good.
So again,
I know.
Again, that's on the Bright Pink website, and you text the word pink 59227, and you'll get your free monthly reminder.
Oh, that's excellent. And what else? I'm just concerned about the time. But like I said, my guidelines when I see patients are much stricter than the American Cancer Society. Also, there's also the BRCA test, the BRCA test. BRCA1 and BRCA2 are blood tests that they're not just to be used for a screening tool with everyone, but and you guys have to see if your insurance will cover it. It's a blood test to see if you carry a genetic mutation that may cause an ovarian or breast cancer. It's especially important to do if a first-degree relative is positive for that test, like a sister, a mother, or a daughter, Because in that case, that if you have a sister, mother, or daughter that's positive for the BRCA blood test, you would have a 50% chance of also having that mutation. So that would be important. It doesn't mean you have breast cancer. It just means, hey, let's watch you a little closer. I recently had a patient. Her first-degree relative was BRCA positive. She was very proactive. She went every 6 months for mammography for like a few years, starting in her early 20s. Her insurance lapsed. She stopped going. As soon as she got insurance again, 2 years later, she went for a mammo and was positive. I think it was a year later. But it's important to be as proactive as you can. When you come in for a sick visit to the doctor's office, they're not going to usually ask you, are you up to date on your mammography? So I recommend to everyone to schedule a well physical with your doctor, see if your insurance covers that, and which, say, doc, hey, at this age, what test should I be, due for? And then also,
so it's important like you said,
yeah.
To be aware of our family history.
Exactly.
Which is, a great point. And
yeah.
I don't know if you would agree, but the Daily News actually posted a list of several health screenings that every woman should discuss with their doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I go through that with people with their either annual physical, or I tell them, listen, I know we're limited on time today. Can we come back for a physical? And I'll ask them, when was your last PAP? Like I said, the Cancer Society has more lenient rules than I do. I'm a little stricter. As soon as females are sexually active, no matter how young they are, they really should be starting to get PAP screenings and screenings for the HPV virus. The HPV virus is a virus that can cause cervical cancer. And I make sure that my patients every year have a PAP smear. And then for the men, the PSA test, it's important. My belief is every year over 40, Cancer Society is a lot more lenient. Now for men, it's important not to just get the PSA blood test, but also the rectal exam, because one might show it and one might miss it. It's same for women with the mammo and the breast exam. The two go hand to hand and are very important, because if I do the breast exam and I find a lump, I can tell the radiologist where to focus in on the mammography for a better image. So it's important women need breast exam and mammo, plus possibly ultrasound or MRI. And men should have the PSA and the rectal exam as well. Other cancers to screen for is skin cancers. If you're not sure, go to your doctor, say, hey, what do you think of this? If the skin lesion is changing size, color, if it has more than one color to it, if the borders are irregular, if you're noticing a wound that's not healing, a lot of times wounds that don't heal could be a skin cancer. Oral cancer is another one. Your dentist usually does a mouth exam for oral cancer, especially if you're a smoker or chewing tobacco. Women, when they're perimenopausal or postmenopausal, if they're getting abnormal bleeding, it's important for them to go to their GYN and make sure they don't have a uterine cancer, and possibly consider a uterine biopsy. Also, lung cancer screenings. Do you know American Cancer Society only recommends an imaging of the lungs if someone's 55 to 74 years of age and has 30-year history of smoking and quit less than 15 years ago. Then they recommend a CAT scan. I'm a little more proactive than that. I will send them for a chest X-ray periodically. What else?
What about the bone mineral density test, which is recommended usually
yes,
65
that's
years
important.
or better. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very important. Bone density. I would rather send you for a bone density and see that you have bone thinning and try to give you medications and calcium and vitamin D to reverse it rather than wait till you fracture a hip and then test you for bone density. I tend
and
to
that's
test
a good
women
point.
over 50.
Women,
yeah.
Can we be pre-inventive, younger? Like I know that I
Yes.
do take vitamin D, and I have
Yes,
for
exactly. You need vitamin D to absorb the
years.
calcium. If you're postmenopausal, those women need 1,800 milligrams of calcium a day and at least 800 or 1,200 of vitamin D. So it's important if you're not eating a lot of cheese and milk to take a supplement. And it's important if you're taking calcium to take vitamin D with it, because the vitamin D will help absorb the calcium. I would rather be proactive and help postpone someone's osteoporosis rather than wait for them to fracture a hip and send them to the OR for repair. So that's, like I said, very, very important. And also increasing our antioxidants that we ingest, not only trying to avoid what we can, sometimes we can't avoid the carcinogens, but increasing more fruits and vegetables. If they're organic, it's better. They don't have the insecticides and pesticides. If they're raw, they have more of the antioxidants. Green tea is a powerful antioxidant. Reishi from reishi mushrooms, it's an herbal ingredient. There's been a lot of studies showing it suppresses certain cancers and the metastases or spread of certain cancers. You always have to run it by your doctor or your nurse practitioner, because even herbs can interfere with their medications. And this oxidative stress that contributes, the free radicals cause oxidative stress. So we need to avoid our exposure to the free radicals, the oxidative stress. Like, for instance, I am very proactive. I take what's called a NRF2 activator. And what it does is it's like the newer, better version of antioxidants. So like, yay, antioxidants, they're great. But what happens is a lot of times when we ingest antioxidants, we excrete vitamins sometimes totally unabsorbed, if it's not a good quality vitamin. Where the NRF2 activators, when we ingest this herbal blend, it makes our own body create more of our own antioxidants that are much more potent than ingesting antioxidants. And they say one molecule of this NRF2 activator actually fights 1 million free radicals per second, every second. It's
How
like
can we
amazing.
find that? How can we find that?
People can contact me either Facebook, email, or phone, and I can give them additional information. I take mine every single day. I give it to my husband. I have a bunch of my friends on it. It's the newer technology. So a lot of people haven't heard about it, but in the next few years, I imagine most of everyone being on an NRF2 activator. The one I take is called Protandim. I take it once a day. Recently I had to go for a CAT scan, so I know that's radiation. So I'm taking extra Protandim, just to fight that free radical damage. I have a website that they can go on for it too. It's mylifevantage.com/Melissa, MELISSA, Stockman. And, they can look me up on Facebook. At the end, maybe I'll give my contact information as well. But they've done so many studies on these NRF2s, and I know you guys always look for reference sources for the calls. They can get more information on this or any scientific studies they want to look at. What the doctors always look at is PubMed.gov. That's PubMed.gov, and they can punch in NRF2 or the one I'm on, Protandim, and they can see all the studies pop up right there.
So that's NRF is in the X-ray too?
Yeah, NRF2 activators. They say that one antioxidant molecule only fights one free radical, where with the NRF2, one molecule fights 1 million free radicals every second. It's so much more powerful and potent. And, in my view, 99% of us should be on that.
Let's talk about just for a moment diabetes screening. Women with blood pressure over, I think it's 135/80, should probably be tested for diabetes. Or if there's a family history, or if, there's overweight involved, your doctor
I'm very proactive.
Blood test.
Yes. I screen my patients every time they go for blood work. I'm like, you know what? Can you go fasting? And I'll just throw it on there. In the office, I usually have a glucometer. If they're fasting a couple hours, I can check. But, yes, so you're right. The diabetes is growing rapidly because all of the U.S., for the most part, we're getting bigger. The obesity is huge right now. It's more of an epidemic with the U.S. And the more obese you are and the worse we're eating, the worse we're eating, the more obese we are. The more obese we are, the higher the risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And a lot of my clients, when I help them lose weight, they can come off their diabetic meds, their blood pressure meds. They can come off their cholesterol meds. So anybody I send for blood work, I ask them to fast, and I always throw on the sugar. That's me personally. Every physician and nurse practitioner will work differently. But if they have risk factors, like you said, family history of diabetes, if they're overweight, if they have high cholesterol, they should go to their doctor and ask for a diabetes blood test. And a lot of the doctor's offices will draw blood work right there. So if they go fasting one morning, the doctor might draw it right there instead of sending them out to a lab a different day. And a lot of times the diabetes and the high cholesterol, high blood pressure go hand in hand. Not only family history, but a lot of those clients are overweight, and that's what makes their risk factors higher for these disorders. But a lot of times when I help that client lose it,
I'm sorry, Melissa.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the normal range usually with blood pressure, 120/80 between like 139/89. And then if you're over 140/90, it's usually a red flag. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say this. I don't want to scare anyone, but if they're regularly 140/90, if they've been 140/90 a couple times and they're checking it on their own, they really need to go to their doctor. Even if they intend on losing weight, they might want a blood pressure pill until they lose the weight so they don't overstress their heart. 140/90 is not, for me, seeing the patient in the office is not a huge red flag. But if they get it on their own, they should definitely go for a checkup to address their blood pressure and why it's high. And once they, maybe consider starting a blood pressure pill, or maybe that'll be an incentive for that person to lose the weight so that they don't need to be on medicines, But that is a good, a good reason for them to go to their doctor, Any lumps, bumps that aren't going away, any symptoms that aren't going away, any lesions that aren't healing, or just routinely, even if they're well. I'll see patients that they have a cough and they haven't been to the doctor in 5 or 7 years. They're like, I'm healthy. I don't need to go to the doctor. I'm like, no, you think you're healthy because you haven't been to the doctor, and we don't know what's the matter with you, so you need to come back for a physical. So even that person that thinks they're healthy and hasn't been to the doctor in years, I'm like, no, come back for a physical. It could just be them thinking they're healthy. So,
and the more we know, the more we educate ourselves, the more we can be proactive in our own health. There was a book, just one book that I cited, Best Practices for a Healthy Heart, and that's by a Dr. Stackman, Samaan, who's a board-certified cardiologist at Legacy Heart Center, and that was a good resource just to, educate ourselves with practices for a healthy heart. So let's talk about an upcoming program that you're doing with the Time to Play Foundation for the same topic, February 10th. What day of the week is that?
Can I bring up one more thing before I forget?
Of course.
Colonoscopy screening. I recommend that for everyone over 50 to get a colonoscopy screening for colon cancer. And any of my recommendations, if they're having symptoms or family history, they should go for testing sooner. But it is recommended, I recommend the age 50 colonoscopy, and they should also get the stool test every year for colon cancer. So, our upcoming event is, I believe, Wednesday, February 24th, at the Time to Play Foundation, where we'll go more into these screening tests, prevention. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more on the NRF2s, how we can reduce our risks. And the next podcast coming up, it's usually for Healthy, for Time to Play Foundation, I believe the second Tuesday of every month. So the next Healthy Time to Play podcast would be February 2nd, that Tuesday, correct, at 9:30 in the morning. And I have a couple references also.
Tuesday or Wednesday? I thought it was Wednesday.
Our event at the Time to Play Foundation, our live event, is Wednesday, 2/24, on the cancer prevention and screening test. But as you know, Time to Play, normally the second Tuesday of every month, is the live podcast on Healthy.
Okay.
And that would be Tuesday, February 10th. And I have a couple references people can go to, too. American Cancer Society is acf.org. And you can look up all their guidelines of when to go for what tests. Definitely be proactive with your doctor and nurse practitioner. Say, hey, listen, I've never had a screening in mammography. I'm 45. Can I go for one? Can you write me the prescription? The PubMed, PubMed.gov, you can look up all the scientific studies. You can find more info on the NRF2 activators there. You could just punch that in the search bar. Or you can punch in what I take, Protandim, Protandim, in the search bar, get all the studies. Cancer.org also has a toll-free number, 800-227-2345, where they could provide additional information. And the there's a little video that people can watch on NRF2 activators that explains it. They've been featured on ABC Primetime, and the actual video link to that is abcliveit.com, and it explains it very easily in layman's terms. I think it's like a 6 or a 9 minute video. And then for even more additional information, they can either look at my Facebook page, Melissa, M-E-L-I-S-S-A, Stockman, S-T-O-C-K-M-A-N, or I have a website about the NRF2s, www.mylifevantage, VANTAGE.com, and then / Melissa, M-E-L-I-S-S-A, Stockman, S-T-O-C-K-M-A-N, or they can reach out to me by email, REJUVN8, MELISSA, or they can leave a message on my cell, 631-275-3465. That's 275-3465.
Wow. Thank you so much, Melissa. That is a bevy of information this morning. And,
yeah, sorry I talked quick. I just wanted to squeeze it all in within our time allotment. And we did good. It's perfectly a half hour.
Perfect. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. And again, go on to our website at theenjoylifecommunity.org or timetoplayfoundation.com. And there are always articles posted for pre-invention and proactive things that we can do for an improvement of our quality of life every day. So join us again for our next health podcast on Tuesday, February 2nd, with Melissa again. And
I believe that's February 10th, isn't it?
I'm sorry. Okay, February 10th. And then the event on the same topic today, being proactive with early detection, on February 24th. So call us to reserve at the Time to Play Foundation, and you can call Stacy at 631-682-3881 to reserve your spot, or you can call Doreen Guma at 631-331-2675. Shine on and have a great day. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you very much, Stacy, for all you do.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Yes, definitely. Bye-bye.
Recently, Verizon had to use tiny red balls to try to make you think they had a much better network than Sprint. But there's one big thing they left out. The new Sprint LTE Plus network delivers faster download speeds than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. While Verizon seems to be focused on tiny balls, Sprint has been obsessively focused on building the network of the future. And to celebrate, Sprint is cutting their rates in half. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile rates. You get the new Sprint LTE Plus network with faster download speeds than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And we'll even cover your cost to switch, up to $650 per line. Only from Sprint. Better for less.
Claim based on Sprint's analysis of average LTE download speeds using Nielsen NMP data. Speeds may vary. Offer coverage not available everywhere. Excludes taxes, surcharges, add-on, and premium content. Subject to new line port activation fee and credit. See website for eligible plans. Savings through 1/8/18 after pay full amount. Restrictions apply. Buy a free reward card after online registration and phone turn-in.